Gil's here.
Okay.
Gil walked the property with us yesterday. So what'd you think, Gil? Gil and Bill, his friend Bill came, the architect, came to check out the site also.
Especially loved
Can you hear this?
the back of the building, the way, the old staircases and the and the old tree, whatever. Uh, just amazing feeling walking through it. So,
Yeah.
and otherwise, there's the view of the ocean from two directions, from the
Wow.
back and from the side. And yeah, and there's an opportunity that I hope you will be utilized to provide parking over there. And I realize also it's not an urgent thing because currently the street capacity can handle more. But so I think it's a great location. Lots of different things that can be done there. Um, you can max out, as I mentioned, by doing a third floor, and possibly, maybe another floor on the existing building. But all these things need to be, calculated IRR wise and cost wise and engineering wise. So, um, but it's looking good.
Yeah.
It's a great neighborhood.
Good. I love it. Well, that's a good segue into starting the presentation. So guys, we're gonna keep this inside of the 30-minute mark because we want to make sure we respect everyone's time. So I really appreciate all of you guys joining us today. And of course, anybody who's watching the replay, good to glad you're watching the replay also. So we'll kick it off. And Marcelo, we need to make sure we keep the content inside of 20 minutes so we finish at the 30 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I'm going to share our deck here. And Marcel, you kick it off.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for coming. This actually, what's kind of nice about this picture is this is actually a view off the rear deck, as Gil had mentioned. Super unique property. We'll get into a little bit more details of what we can do and exactly why and how we're able to do it. Of course, we're going to start off with a legal disclaimer. We're neither accountants nor lawyers. We make no promises or representations as to guarantees of any kind. Our experience has shown us that these projects are profitable. We're seeing that in the marketplace. So we can say that, and beyond that, we don't want to say anything beyond that, of course, other than the results. Your results may vary. And consult your lawyer and your CPA, please, for any detailed information. So now, what do we have here? Next Ray Fund One is a fund that Andrew and I created. It just takes advantage of the laws that were developed by both first the state of California and then the city of San Diego to provide denser urban infill development. So how we started is the state of California about 3 years ago or so codified that no matter the jurisdiction, that everyone would be allowed to build an ADU in either their backyard or even a portion of the house. Actually, technically, you can build an ADU, excuse me, or what's called a junior ADU, which is maxed out at 500 square feet. The ADU can max out at 1,200 square feet. So a lot of times people they call them granny flats or whatever, but a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot structures, a lot of places that's an actual house, right? So what City of San Diego did is they said, okay, you can now take that, you can do affordable bonus, and we'll get into that, and add on top of that. So in the City of San Diego, why did they do that? We've had a lot of problems with historically, year over year, decade over decade, not actually attaining the allotted goals set forth by the state of California to build enough housing, and also just simply by the marketplace. So costs of housing continue to go up, costs of rents continue to go up, the demand continues to go up, as people who live here in San Diego know, and the supply simply does not meet the demand. It has not yet, and so far as we can tell, it's not going to be able to. So that's the crisis that we're in. Actually, a lot of people talk about homelessness and what causes homelessness. A tremendous amount of it is just simply affordability is what causes homelessness.
Yeah,
But
and
anyway,
the
mhm.
city got a lot of bad press recently because it came out as being the quote unquote least affordable city in the entire country, and it
Yeah,
was 90%
Oh,
due to.
is it? We're there?
Yeah, I mean the
yeah,
thing
we're
is,
actually not the most expensive, but when
Right.
you
Least
compare
of,
to the average income, we're the least affordable in the entire United States of America.
well,
and the thing is we still.
congrats for the first place.
It's not an award we tried to go for.
And we still
But
actually have a net
nonetheless, we won it.
we still have a net inflow of people to San Diego, so people are still moving here on average, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the affordability has gotten worse. So yeah, so the city, city's pushing. This is one of the efforts they're trying to do to help that.
Exactly. So I got a little ahead of myself here, but basically, what they're able to do is you can, and I'll kind of use a little bit more of the example that we have specifically here, whether it's single family zone or multifamily zone, you can add the ADUs. And the way you can go beyond what is normally allowed by the local regs, here again, City of San Diego, is you provide an affordable unit. And then once you provide an affordable unit beyond whatever you're allowed by right, you're then able to do a market rate unit, then an affordable unit, a market rate unit, and so on until you max out your floor area ratio, theoretically. So theoretically, on some of these, you can get really, really dense. So that's a way that allows us to provide more density and infill. So our other project that we have on Bancroft, it's actually zoned for a single family home, and we're building 6 additional units. So we're going from a single family to a 7-plex, and this one we're going to go even denser. And yeah, and then I see Andrew kind of pointing with a pointer today, which is pretty unbelievable right now, affordable for 1 bedroom, and this is by the federal guidelines, is $2,800 per month, which is amazing, right? I mean, and that's considered affordable.
What the city when you hear affordable housing, you think maybe Section 8 housing, like government assistance. It's not that. This really you should think of affordable as not luxury. This is regular houses for regular people, and that's the rent cap there is 28.50. It's 28.40, whatever. Some number like that, but it's around $2,800, $2,900. And it also that number adjusts with inflation too, so it does go up every year. But
Yeah,
that's when you hear affordable, think like not extremely luxury housing.
yeah, and as another point, last year, so we gave this presentation. We were using the guidelines from last year. They were 2,500 and something. Now they're 2,800 and something. Couldn't believe it when I saw the new guidelines come out. So, we anticipate that by the end of this project, they'll have gone up even more. So kind of what is our plan here? Again, I'd mentioned Bancroft. So as you can see on the right-hand side, we've got basically what are duplexes. So upstairs, downstairs units, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and they're designed such that we put a little air gap in between them. And so when you look at them from the exterior, they'll look like a 4-plex or a 6-plex or an 8-plex, but they actually are multiples of 2 units of duplexes. And the reason is because we're able to avoid some of the more onerous building codes by actually building to what's called R3, which is the same code that applies for either single family or duplex. Once you actually literally adjoin the walls and you get into commercial, it gets a lot more. There's just a lot more code that applies. Is the simple way to put it. So now we can take these duplexes and then we can use them in other projects. So that's the idea here. So they've been engineered before. They've already been designed. They've passed already through permitting and approval. So now we can take them and move on to the next project.
As far as I can tell when I talk to people, this is something that seems Marcelo is basically pioneering this technique. There's other people doing it too, but there's a lot of architects who don't accept who think you can't do this, and yet we're getting this approved by the city and multiple other projects. And so this is a major cost savings to do this little technique that Marcelo's kind of pioneered or
Yeah,
popular.
there are a few others that are doing it. There's not too many.
Yeah.
Actually, the guy who who we consulted with, he used to develop the code in the city of San Diego. So he spent over a decade actually writing the actual codes. So
Wow.
we're able to snake our way through the codes and do some pretty cool stuff.
So a question there, those 6 units all 1 bedroom?
They are.
And then is the coastal rules are different for development versus interior?
They are, but Del Mar
very good
Ave is
question.
not coastal commission. It's not coastal, not considered coastal.
Yeah, actually, so what happened at about a year and 2 or 3 months ago was the city of San Diego. If some of you San Diego people who are in San Diego might know this. There's a rule where actually the coastal commission applies all over the coast. So technically, it does apply. And I don't want to get too deep in the woods, but what the city of San Diego said is, hey, we actually can, as long as people don't tear down what's called the 51% rule. So if you're going to remodel a house, if you keep 51% of the existing walls, then the city of San Diego will go through all the coastal process. Good to go, right? So you'll see houses here where you're like, oh my God, what did they do? They blew up the whole house and left a few minor pieces. Why did they do that? That's why they did it. They might tear down a 900 square foot house and build a 4,000 square foot, coastal mansion. That's why they do it. Now, the city of San Diego went back to the coastal commission and said, hey, we're already able to do this. Why don't you let us do this for single family? Why don't you let us do it for ADUs? Which is kind of crazy. So it's new construction, multifamily, and the coastal commission said, you're good to go, city of San Diego. We're going to allow you to do this. So actually the city does it on behalf of the coastal commission. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Otherwise, yeah, this would be like a 3-year process. Go ahead, Andrew. I'll let you talk for a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot of you guys know me already, but I'm Andrew Erickson, real estate investor, I'm a business owner, a business builder. My business partner for my other businesses are here. Mike is here. I've been partners for almost a decade now, and I have half a dozen properties and valued over $4 million. And I have an engineering degree, so I used to work at Qualcomm, and then now I've gotten really into this ADU stuff. So I bought an ADU property by myself, and then Marcelo and I partnered up to tackle a few more of these things too. So that's kind of my little background.
Yeah, and I'm Marcelo, and of course, I think most of you know me, but for those that don't, I originally went to the Naval Academy, went off to the military, was in the Marine Corps as an officer, and when I got out, having been stationed here in San Diego, was trying to figure out what I would do to stay here, and managed to get into Qualcomm like Andrew and like a few other people on the call here. And so spent some time there. Qualcomm, like any big tech company, they'll grow and they do layoffs and such. So they did me a favor, they laid me off. And I actually went another route, which is to be an entrepreneur. And I'd also had that desire. So I've been doing that for over a decade now, overseeing a lot of anything from building of highly challenging custom homes in La Jolla to doing things like the ADU projects now. And this is such an exciting opportunity that I've decided this is what I'm focusing in on right now for the duration.
Forget those homeowners.
Say again?
I said, forget those homeowners.
Oh yeah, Pete knows. Yeah, some of the challenges of doing, really high-end custom homes is you get some really picky homeowners. They'll tell you, listen, whatever you do, we're not doing any change orders, because of course they don't want to get charged for them. And then of course, as soon as you get started, they say, listen, I want to change something here.
I don't want to be charged for it.
And 15 change orders later. So at any rate, that was kind of a fun experience. I learned a lot though. That was great. So this is we're talking about some of the experience we have already with ADUs, and literally today, we have the appraiser for our first ADU. I'm gonna couch this properly. This is an ADU project that falls under the new guidelines, because again, this is new. So there haven't been that many that have gone all the way through completion. And so this is my first one here, and some of the numbers about how we've done with it. And we're actually going through appraisal right now. So we're actually not going to sell it. We're going to refinance it, keep it for a year so that we can season it. and then sell it off. So there's a chance to even sell it off to potentially VA buyer. My partner over there, he works a lot with VA buyers. So we're going to let it season for a year. So it'll be interesting to see how it appraises. But that one's complete, and you can see some of what it looks like in the build quality, and it's nice. This, I call the build quality in this one a definite B plus, and so that's what we build them to, to affordable, as Andrew said, not luxury, right, but all brand new. Okay, now I did have a previous experience before all of these ADU laws were implemented, and this was also a profitable project, but it was the only one I did for a very long time because the city at that time called them companion units. They would not let you rent them out. They had to be deed restricted that said that you would not rent them, and you had to provide parking. So it was terrible. And these kinds of laws existed all throughout the state of California, and that's why they implemented these new projects. So did this. It was a great experiment. It was profitable. As you can see, it was a while ago. You can see the numbers, how much they've changed in the last 7 or 8 years or whatever in San Diego. And it was a profitable project, but we stopped. I kicked everything back in again once these new laws came into effect. And then this is what we're doing right now. I think some of you had came in early. We've already broken ground on Bancroft. We have Fond du Lac. That one is, the framing is almost fully complete now on that one. 36th Street is one where I think we've poured the slab. We're already framing on that one. I'm trying to remember these. Columbia Street is a really exciting. That one, although it's considered affordable, that's more high end. That one has a beautiful view of the entire bay. Super amazing project. And that one is now drywall, and we're getting ready and we're stuccoing the exterior. So that one's on the downhill slide. And the very top one there, Island Avenue, is one where we're just about fully permitted now.
Alrighty, so the details of this deal. So all that was building up to what this deal looks like, right? So we are the address here, of course, is 4637 Del Mar Ave. Del Mar Ave, not Del Mar City, right? This is in Ocean Beach, Point Loma area, and so it as you can see here, if you're familiar with San Diego, I think everyone here is, pretty much everyone here has lived in San Diego at some point or currently lives here. You can see here's downtown right here, and then this is where the location is, and you can see it's just a 2.5 walk to the beach. The main Sunset Cliffs is right here with the big tourist spot right here, and then right here is Ocean Beach, is also a big surf spot and iconic part of San Diego. So it's in a very iconic spot. We're gonna do a 12-pack, and we're gonna do exactly what we showed at Bancroft, but just twice as much, so 12 of them. And we've already talked to, we're familiar with the rules, and we've already talked to architects who are professionals in this space, who are professionals with the rules. 12-pack is permittable. In fact, we could even do, there's some ways you can even get more than 12. 12 is kind of the max that makes sense for the project site, but legally we could do even more than 12. All 1 bedrooms. We're still potentially looking at maybe not just 1 bedrooms, but as of right now, at least the model, to make everything clear and concise and easy for this model, we're highly confident that 12 1-bedroom units will work very well. Permitting will take 9 to 12 months, and that includes design, engineering, different revisions with the city, submitting to the city, getting comments back, and all that kind of stuff. Takes 9 to 12 months, and then also construction itself will take 9 to 12 months. So that entire thing will take, inside of 24 months. And of course, I think all of you guys know San Diego is an awesome city that has population growth, and everyone wants to live here, especially people who can, people who make, professional white-collar incomes can move here if they're location independent, working online. Why not live in San Diego where the weather is amazing, right? So so anticipated returns are 40%. So I'm modeling them close to like 60%, but we do not want to promise that. We want to promise, no legal.
We're not promising anything, just to be clear.
We want to, we are anticipation is a 40% return over the 2 years, which would be about 20% a year. Distributions, there's no distributions, there's no quarterly distributions. It's all upon sale. And the idea here is that you build it, is that you buy it, you permit it, you build it, you lease it, and you sell it as fast as we can, right? Who buys it? I mean, maybe we could set up, maybe in 2 years we'll have a fund that that maybe a different fund can come and buy the project, but as of this is purely a construction, buy, construct, lease, and sell business model. So right now we're raising $1 million to do this. About 650 is needed to close the deal, to get the loan, the bridge loan. And then we're doing a $200,000 renovation on the main property that will then make that property gorgeous, and we'll then start Airbnb-ing out that property. And I haven't quite modeled out exactly how much we expect for Airbnb, but probably $10,000 a month in gross revenue from Airbnb. That's the house. It'll have a house with a big, gorgeous view and a pool for a year. The pool will be turned into the ADUs, but that's the plan with this one.
Who manages the Airbnb? Just curious. Is that Marcelo or is that you guys?
TBD, probably me. I have some Airbnbs that I do now, but well, it'll either be me or potentially an agency.
I see. So it'll be in-house, basically.
In-house, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so who
It makes the most sense.
who owns the current property, and where is that owner going to go in this whole setup?
She is not with us in this world anymore.
Yeah, a trustee owns it. It's in a trust, and they're selling it.
Okay, so it is so that 1 million is letting you buy the property too, or that's a separate thing. The 1 million
1 million goes towards the purchase as well as the rehab and design and everything to be prepared for the construction.
Wait, let me understand. 1 million is getting you the entire property, including building the 12 unit.
So we'll
There's
purchase
a loan.
property for 2.1 million.
Okay.
Well, then we need 650,000 for the loan to get that $2.1 million purchase.
Okay.
Then we need 200,000 for the renovation and 150,000 for design, engineering, and permitting.
Okay. All right. Sounds
And
good. Sorry. I missed that 2.1 part. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Good question though. Cool. Yeah. So again, I kind of already said all this stuff, but you can see here's the property. There's an existing property on top, and then this large lot. It's kind of hard to tell, but the house ends right where the trees are, like right here. And then there's a bit of a slope here. But then this entire part here will be the 12-pack. And we actually have some cool renders here on the next page.
So what's the contingency if the city only approves like 6-pack and not 12-pack? Is that a possibility at all, or?
I don't see that as a possibility because there's nothing that restricts it. There's literally nothing. However, if they did, then the business, we've modeled it with fewer units, more units. The thing is the fewer the units, both the quicker the design time and the quicker the build time. So it would just mean that we would return money even quicker. The return overall would not be as large, but given time to money, it's probably pretty kind of close. So, but there's literally no reason the city for them to not do that. There's just none at all.
Here's a quick render. Again, we went under contract on this on Thursday, right? So it's only been 3 business days so far. So the renders will be better than this, but later on. But this is the quick render we have from the architect showing what these units will look like. So as you can see, there's a what we call a breezeway through here, and then you can't really tell, but like Marcelo was saying, there's actually a little 6-inch air gap right here, which then makes the code enforcement on these things much easier to manage.
Also, this is shown as flat in the real world, which our final renderings will show more accurately. But the house is kind of at the level of the roof line.
The level of.
You mean the existing home?
Yeah, the existing homes. To be
Got
clear. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of slopes up like this. and then the other houses right here, basically. So that's why we hire an architect. My drawings aren't nearly as good as his. Yeah, so with again, the short of it here, we kind of already went some of these numbers, but we're expecting 20% annualized return on this. Again, shooting for a lot more than that, modeling more like 30% plus, but no promises. We're anticipating at least 20%. We want to stay within budget, of course. We'll do monthly reports and quarterly estimates, and of course we all have everything is structured inside of a 506c fund. Everything's set up correctly legally. It's all SEC secured, registered with the SEC. We have a platform called Avestor. It's a software platform that does all the reporting for us and all the reports and also all the taxes for you guys. So all that stuff is managed, all pretty clear and concise. All that stuff will be delivered. And as you can see here, as we already kind of explained, we're taking a 1-bedroom, adding 12, purchasing for 2.1 million, renovations and permits, 400,000, maybe probably more like 350, but 400,000 for the estimate. The ADU construction will cost about 2 million, right? So that for all 12 units. Estimated value at the end is 7 million. That is based off an NOI model, based off a net operating income model. And we're using a 4.3% cap rate, which is pretty standard, even a little high for that beachfront property right now. I anticipate that cap rate will come down a little bit when rates come down over the next year or two, but we're modeling at 4.3 for right now. And then we have a equity waterfall model set up. So equity waterfall, probably many of you guys are familiar with it, but just the quick overview of it is we want to make sure we give what's called a pref or preferred return. We want to make sure that when investors give us capital, that the first profits go straight to the investors to make sure they get at least a 12% return, 12% over that 2 years, right? And the reason why we do that, we want to make sure Marcelo and I don't take anything until any of the profit return until the investors get at least a 12% return, right? Because we have to beat the money market accounts, right? Then we have the next profit split. We want to get the investors up to 20% return, with a large majority of that of the profits going to investors until we get everyone up to 20% return. Then after everyone gets 20% return, then we split everything 50-50. And we do that so that we can be highly confident that everyone gets that kind of cost of capital returned as much as possible. And then we want to beat the money markets. Then we want to beat the stock market. And then after that, we're highly incentivized to really execute and really get these numbers on time, as high as we can, maximize profits. And we're highly incentivized to make sure that Marcel and I are highly incentivized to make sure this thing goes correctly this way. So, yeah, those are the anticipated returns and the timelines we've talked about before.
What is the next wave investment? Is it all sweat equity?
No.
All equity.
You mean the co-invest?
Yeah, how much is next wave putting in as a part of the 1 million?
Yeah, we typically put in, typically 10, 15, 20% per investment.
Okay,
so we'll do at least 10%. We'll do at least 10% on this one.
I'm putting in at least 100,000 on my own cash.
Yeah, at a bare minimum.
And it might be even closer to 200,000. At least 100 for me. Kind of depends on how much we can raise and how much a few other things like that, but it'll be at least 100,000 for me.
And you will be sharing that with the rest of us investors, your stake in the
Yes.
million. Okay.
I come in as correct. So I'll come. I mean, I won't talk for Marcel. I'll talk for myself. I'll come in at 100,000 as an LP, as an investor. So I'm both a sponsor or a general partner, GP, and I also come in as an investor too. And so at least 100 of that million will be coming from me, if not maybe even 200 plus. So I will be also an investor too.
Yeah, and I'll come in as well. So we always come in, like I said, at least 10, 15% of the total raise.
And we're required to do that. The 506C fund requires that. I think we have to have at least 5%, but then the banks
Yeah.
always make us have at least 10%. And then also, I honestly think it's a really good deal. So like I want to come in as an investor. So like I even though I'm required to by law, I also want to do it.
And, how does the combination of the purchase price loan and the construction loan work?
So right now, so this is a purchase loan that we're doing right now. So our raise is for the purchase, permitting, everything. Then we get to phase two. We will then have to replace the purchase loan with a construction loan. And we'll probably have to do kind of like a B series raise for, or either that or kind of maybe some mezzanine financing to then get the construction done. So it's kind of like phase one and then phase two.
Will all that be done through the same institution, same bank? Got it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. No, I don't know who. I don't know who will do the construction. We go and find whoever provides the excuse me, the best terms.
Same legal
We
structure.
think that, yeah, it's all the same legal structure, but the actual lender may be a different lender.
I see. So then you have the purchase loan that you're paying, and then find construction money and pay it as you use that money.
And replace it, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
they charge us on a pay-as-you-go.
Got it.
It
What
makes
are,
more
what are the rates on construction loans right now? Is that
So
just curious?
they're starting to come down. Right now, they're right around the double-digit mark, kind of around a 10% mark.
Wow.
So, yeah, and we're hoping by the time we get there, we're not modeling it, but we're hoping to do a little bit better than that. And in fact, through this portal that we have, we're looking to also go out and find debt that's a little bit better, maybe even avoid the banks altogether.
So like some private equity funding or something?
Exactly, private equity funding that is a little more agile and that maybe at least meets or beats whatever we're getting out of the market right now, because it's not that great.
But you must have a good track record with lenders on construction loans with all that you've been doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's so right now, actually, on the purchase, depending on how we structure it, we're getting quotes in the single digits. So the question is, how much lower can we get? Obviously, we want to keep driving for lower and lower and lower as low as we can get.
And hopefully the feds bring the prime rate down, and supposed to happen next month.
September. Yeah.
But we're not modeling anything coming down. In fact, we're modeling all the interest rates to be a little bit higher than what we've been quoted, just to be conservative. But hopefully the rates come down a little bit, and actually the rates are even better 12 months from now when we refinance to a construction loan.
Got it. Good. So you're conservative.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
We try very much to be. Yes.
I just want to address one critical issue, the issue of the number of units. What methods have you used to confirm that the 12 units are possible?
The code. There's an extremely user-friendly guide. Actually, we should include that, Andrew, there's some bulletins that come out from the city. It's all by right. There's nothing here that's not by right. So it's super legible, super simple.
Understood. Has an architect seen it and confirmed that 12 units are possible?
Two. I pass it through my normal, well, I call my normal guy, but also through the other individual who's so busy that he would have to slot me in 6 months from now. But he consults to kind of give an approval, to say, hey, yeah, this is what you can do. And that's the gentleman that I told you that used to write the code for the city.
And he looked at the specific address and said, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And has any of the neighboring or any of the houses in the neighborhood, I should say, done anything along these lines?
Yeah, on West Point Loma Boulevard, which was a property that I at the time was not prepared to do. I didn't have all of the structure set up. Same zoning, a few blocks away. They're about 3/4 of the way through building 8 units on a 7,000 square foot lot.
8 units and 7,000. Okay, sounds good.
Eight 1-bedrooms.
So
Cool. All
Gil,
good.
And I also know of other builders, because obviously we're not the only ones, who are doing. Actually, there's one who's a little crazy. I don't agree with what he's doing, but he's got a 7,000 square foot lot, same zone, and I think they're trying to put 12 units on a 7,000 square foot lot. And I don't like that, because it starts to get like a sardine. There are a bunch of studios, and I don't like that. That's just me personally. But they're actually, I think they must be near ready for construction.
and Gil, I do have those links actually here handy.
Oh, there you go.
In the chat. I'm happy to email them to you.
Cool.
Actually, I can just give you a link to this sheet, and everyone's welcome to link to this sheet here. So
Yeah, that'd also be great to provide in the portal, the actual PDFs, because there's a bulletin. I want to call it bulletin 400. It should be in that link there. But anyway, it's a bulletin that shows the guidelines for all of this.
And there's a spreadsheet here if you want to play with it, but we actually
please use Andrew's spreadsheets, because he's very proud of them and he spends a lot of time on them.
The buildable area, we could actually do up to 6,800 square feet, and like just the if you just give easements to the other property lines, the edge, the property line, and other buildings, you can just the floor print, which you walk the property, so it's a pretty big backyard, but just the floor print, we can do 5,500 square feet there in that platform on the that's 1 story. So 2 stories, we could do about 11,000 square feet, like just like physically fitting in the backyard. Legally, we can do almost 7,000 square feet, and we're actually just doing 5,400 square feet. So and you can I have some links here if you want to follow those.
Are you including the 1.25 bonus FAR in that, Andrew?
No, this is
Oops.
0.75.
No, actually, no, it's either 1 or 1.25. So the rule is if you do 8 units or more, you get, I believe it's a 25% bonus. So I think you can go to for 8 units, you can go FAR 1.0. So you could do theoretically 20,000 square feet of built on that lot, which is insane.
Whatever.
Height? Are you height limited? I mean, I'm just.
You are height limited.
Okay, so you can go to a third level, for example, if
you could, because it's on a slope. Well, even if it wasn't on a slope, but especially because it's on a slope, you can go to a 3rd level. You can get really crazy, but the reason we're talking about not going in that direction is because the more you do, the more permitting time is required. Also, the more construction time, also the more construction money, also the higher the sale price on the back end. So you could keep going and going and going and going. The thing is we want to not only have return on equity, but we want to have return of equity. So we could keep going and going and going, but your buyer pool begins to shrink as you get to a $10 or $15 million buyout at the back end. So we would like to have a larger buyer pool that's hungry for brand new units and that would jump on this, and that we could also produce quickly. We really want to get this done in less than 24 months, from close of escrow to close of escrow. So Andrew and I, over beers, were getting really crazy when we got this thing into escrow, and literally the buddy of mine who's the designer, he's creating 3-story structures that look just like apartment blocks. So what they are is one story on the bottom and then 2 stories on the top with interior stairs. So they're 3 stories, and he's putting in like 12, 14, 16 of these ADUs, and they actually look from the outside just like an apartment building. We could do that, or something similar. You got to get more grading. Again, we want to make it simple and as quick as possible.
Okay, can you elaborate more on the contingency plan around the construction? Let's say I mean, I've never done this, so apologies for these dumb questions, but
No,
what say hypothetically if you run out of the 2.1 million, $2 million of construction money halfway through the project, what do you do? Come back to the investors and ask for more? You have a different raise and dilution across the board? How does that work? I mean,
yeah, well, I'm the general contractor, so I have a very good handle on the cost and the cost structure. So we cost it out so that we're actually more than competitive with other people in the market. Gil knows I had told how much we charge. We're at about 280 or so, depending. I'm kind of repricing a little bit per square foot on the actual construction of the units, which is beating out anybody else that's going to be out there. But still make sure that we have an ongoing concern, right? So that the business doesn't go bankrupt. But we're also not milking out the investors. So I have a very tight handle on what the costs are. So, I mean, we just don't anticipate that because again, we're vertically integrated, right? We're very vertically integrated. I guess if some scenario came about where, I don't know, the project went on for a whole additional year or something like that beyond what we anticipate, then either Andrew and I would put in more funding, or we would, seek to, I guess, come up with some mezzanine financing for it. Because you'll see the spreadsheet. There's I'm going to use a non-technical term. There's so much meat on the bone, even with our very conservative estimates, that we shouldn't have any problem doing that. But again, we're doing these over and over again. So this isn't like we're doing some discretionary thing and having to go and get in front of the city, and the neighbors can't tell you no, the city can't tell you no. Their guidelines are very clear. It's all by right. So this is this is something that we want to be able to just. And again, we have the 5 projects now, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We want to just rinse and repeat these and make them as cookie cutter as possible.
So the quality of the project is bonded by the general contractor's insurance bond or whatever.
Yep.
To the LLC. So the LLC is contracting you, Marcelo, as the general contractor. You are bonded as a general contractor for the quality.
Yeah, contracting my company, but yes, and the company is fully bonded, and we provide the LLC that owns the property is additionally insured by the insurance company. I mean, obviously we get insurance for the business. The general contractor also provides additional liability insurance, and the LLC is additionally insured by that, both the bond and the liability insurance.
So how long is the LLC exposed for potential quality issues? Is it till we sell it to another buyer, or for 7 years, 10 years? I mean, how does this work?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. So actually, in my contract, it states that upon sale, that that we're, and I hired a lawyer for this, that actually we're not held liable beyond that. In a worst case scenario, the LLC is not liable. It's the general contractor, which is myself, who's liable, potentially up to 10 years. But there's a lot of variabilities within that.
Okay. I apologize. I don't want to come across negative.
No, those are all important questions. Those are good questions.
I just don't know anything here.
Yeah. Prasanna, I added some, while Marcel was talking, I typed out some stuff. So we are modeling it at $360 per square foot for build cost. And then that's actually 10% more expensive than probably will be. 340 is kind of what we came up with, but
that includes everything. We're using that big peanut butter number that covers. When I gave the other number, that was for the actual construction, and in the additional numbers, Andrew, and maybe you'll continue to explain, but it's for all the other elements around, which is hooking up the water, gas, electric, landscape, blah blah blah. There's a lot of other hardscape. There's a lot of other elements outside of the construction of the actual physical buildings themselves.
And then those numbers also, Marcelo's company also has a 10% contingency cost built into his side. And then we also have another 130,000 on top of that. That's just like, this is just to make sure that construction doesn't get screwed up. We're just assuming it's a cost, or it's not even like a contingency. It's like we're just assuming it's a cost in the model. And then on top of that, we have about 100,000, little over 100,000 in just an OpEx operational expenses, kind of a slush fund in the actual like top co. So we have room for mistakes, I guess, right? But so we have some padding in there, but those are great questions though. Those are definitely things we should, we can get you a better answer to your question too.
Thank you.
That's a really good question as far as exposure is concerned, Marcelo. So after the sale is complete, then the LLC, which, I mean, would we be part of the LLC? Would we have any liability, or does that just all fall on the
When you say you as
an
individual, or
Yeah.
no, you don't have liability. No,
Okay.
the liability falls on me
As the LLC,
as the general contractor.
as a general contractor. Okay.
Mhm.
Which is pretty typical. I mean, that's what all construction is. Yeah. 10 years
Yeah.
liability. Yeah. Although anything over 4 units, isn't that considered commercial as opposed to residential? Does that have a different time span?
No,
Oh.
no. These are actually all permitted as residential units.
Oh, they are. Got it.
Yeah, that's the secret behind the duplex. These are residential units.
It's kind of,
the
we
way-
kind of get to keep our cake and eat it too, because it's both permitted and licensed as residential, but we get evaluated as a commercial model. Like when we actually go to market, the market will will measure it as a commercial property, whereas
wow.
legal stuff is all residential. It's actually kind of like it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. It sounds like it. Yeah.
Just by the way, in this project, does each unit on a second floor required to have its own staircase, or can they kind of join? How does it work?
Well, they each have their own staircase. Access to the upper floors, or each individual unit has its own separate staircase.
And is that required, or?
Well, it's just required to physically access the upper floor.
I think he's asking
Right.
like this
I
here.
know. Take the situation on the right side. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This one, and then this one essentially lead to the same.
Though, yeah, those are separate because you can't join them. If you join them, you now have. Here's the rule. The rule is if you
The
have
6
3 or
inch?
more joined structure, you now have you fall under a different code. You fall under the California Building Code, CBC, which we don't want to do. That
That's the
then
reason.
requires all kinds of stuff: commercial grade fire sprinklers, commercial grade electrical, commercial grade plumbing. It opens a whole can of worms. It adds a tremendous amount of cost. So we keep these each. What actually happens is we don't get one permit. We actually get separate permits for each duplex, and they're
wow.
each separate residential permits per duplex.
All these green lines here are air gaps.
Yeah.
And that's
So each of those stairways needs to be its own physically separate and structurally separate unit.
So there's 6 staircases for the 6 upper units, and
Correct.
the lower units don't need staircases.
Correct.
Yeah, so you basically have 2 wasted staircases, right, to do this, but that's the only waste that you get on this design. Outside of that, everything else is just like makes everything nice and clean and easy. Plus it has a nice symmetry too, right? Has that kind of nice zigzag symmetry. I don't know.
How much room is between those units? Just curious.
Between the actual, so the ones that look like they're together,
Yeah.
it's about six to 9 inches.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
It's an air gap.
How do they get in there in stucco?
Well, they don't. You actually have like green board or yellow board rather. You know, the stuff you see. So that's the fire that gives you your 1 hour fire rating.
Oh,
So you have yellow board on one side, and they'll put it up. And then when we frame the walls are framed on the ground, and we put the yellow board on, then we tilt them up.
Oh, interesting.
So they're separate. And then the second floor, we do the same thing, tilt them up. Now we have, excuse me, now you have the gap, the fire gap with the fire rated walls. and then when everything is built, we close in that gap.
Oh, interesting.
So it'll look just like they're all together, but they're actually not.
Got it.
Yeah. So it saves us just a tremendous amount of money and time.
That makes
There's no
sense.
chance. I'm just curious. How do you avoid a situation where water's gonna get locked over there, or possibly rodents or whatever?
Yeah. They're actually, because it's all enclosed. So once it's done, it's enclosed.
You
The
seal
whole thing
off.
gets enclosed. It's sealed off. So the only people that know that there's a gap there is the city inspector and us. Other than that, it just looks like a finished product.
So once it's enclosed, then you could post permit, join the stairs together, and have both the doors accessed from the top from one stairs.
Sure, yeah.
But you
Then
will
I
still
don't know what you do.
you'll still need
tear
to
out the
create.
stairs or something.
Yeah, okay. You'll still need to create both the stairs for the permit, but then you could then access it from one stairs.
Yeah, just uninstall the railing right there.
I guess. Sure. I never thought of that, but
There you
sure.
go.
Anything's possible.
There's a few $1,000.
Or you can use that for the next construction.
Well, no, you would need you need those
Yeah, these
staircases.
stairs that you keep moving from one construction.
No. These stairs are integral. They're structurally integral to the building. I mean, there's cement poured and everything. I mean, it's not a minor thing to remove stairs.
Unless it's steel or wood.
That's a major job. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be saving any money by doing that.
Very interesting.
Question on how the single family residence is valued. Once you build the ADUs in the back, I know that like this whole thing is considered one giant property and it will be sold as one property, but like does if you were to separate it into components, does the value of the single family residence drop by any substantial amount due to having a big ADU built in the back? You're getting rid of the pool that they used to have and building something where other people are going to be living there. Is that accounted for in the sales price or like the
Yeah, I mean we'd have to see what it's valued at because everything then just becomes valued at its income, right? So it's all based on net operating income. So we'd have to see whatever a $7,000 a month rental at 4% cap rate comes out to in value, and if that actually is lower than, which would be easy to do, but if that's lower than what it's worth today. Obviously, a portion of the worth today is based on the lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to separate the two and to make apples and oranges.
If you were legally able to split them, which by the way, there's a lot of whispers of them trying to do that. So there's this new thing, SB 10, I think, or SB 9, that where if you live in the property, you could potentially split it. So you would actually be able to split off the ADUs on one side and split off the house. If you could actually split the lot, absolutely, the lot that split off would be worth less because it went from a 10,000 square foot lot with a pool to a 5,000 square foot lot with no pool, right? So I have a view. So for sure it'd be worth less, but that's the beauty of this, is that you don't care about single family homes. You're only purchasing it as a single family home and you're converting it to commercial multifamily. And the multifamily is a lot more like spreadsheetable rather than like comps, right? Because there's no comp for 12 units in that area, right? There might be comps for like 2 ADUs or 1 ADU, but this is commercial multifamily. There's more than 4 units and it's all valued as commercial.
But they're treated as residential but valued as commercial then? Because I think earlier you guys were talking that these are all treated as residential properties, no?
Legally, they're residential, right? They're considered like, basically they're considered all duplexes legally.
For
right?
purposes of construction.
Okay.
Because we've got separate residential permits on each of those units.
Purposes of construction.
But of course, a bank, when they're going to lend money on it, banks lend money for residential 1 to 4 units. This is more than 4 units. It's 4 units are still residential, right? 4plexes are built as residential and bought and sold as residential. So these are built as residential, but now you're more than 4 units. So a bank is going to look at it as commercial, which is way better. That's what you want.
Got it.
Yep. Cool, guys. Well, we're right at the hour, so I want to make sure we respect everyone's time here. But if you guys are interested, we would love for you guys to do a soft commit on the Avestor platform. The Avestor, you're gonna really like it. The Avestor platform makes everything really easy to set up and get information on the project. We're pretty good at communicating. We have a mailing list and all sorts of, we send out emails all the time. Of course, Marcelo and I can always text people, no problem. So we're pretty good at communicating. But the Avestor platform makes it really easy. You can go in there and do a soft commit. Gil's already done it, right? Did it, I think, two days ago, or 3 days ago, this weekend. And the soft commit, it just gets you signed up to kind of get to the next phase. There's no commitment there. There's no hard commit on there. So we'd love for you guys to sign up and put a soft commit in.